Hello, everyone. This is Ruli01. Welcome to part 6 of What If Deku Was Point Man from Fear. Last time the USJ happened, Deku was reunited with Fattel, and he discovered a little bit more about himself. Before we continue the story, we're going to go on a little side note. So, because when I first did this, there was a lot of like crazy ideas I had, and I thought, oh, cool, yeah, this would probably be awesome. Or how do I explain how this happened? So first, side chapter, as I'm going to call it, is the beacon. This is what happened when Izuku set off the homing beacon. Inko was sitting in her office in the medical center when suddenly her phone began to vibrate. She took a look at it and sees that it's Izuku's signal, meaning that he's in trouble. She quickly runs out of her office, going to the training field to see where Hisashi is, and he's currently training the new recruits. Hisashi was confused to see that his wife was here, so he stopped the drill. Inko, what's wrong? It's Izuku. He's in danger. He activated his beacon. Completely aware of what this meant, Hisashi ordered the trainees to go back to their quarters. Inko and Hisashi went to the armory, as they called Tom, and asked for help. Tom over cons would say, I'll have Team Alpha ready. They'll be there in 30 minutes. Inko then interjected, We're going to. Hisashi was concerned. Inko, are you sure about this? You haven't kept up with training. You might not be ready. Inko then turned and glared at her husband. My baby is in danger, so either help me or stay out of my way. Hisashi did not want to face his wife's anger, so he shuts up, and they get their gear and head to the helipad, where the team was waiting for them. Spencer, seeing them approach, chimed in. Hey, I thought you guys quit. Stop talking and let's go. We got to hurry, Inko demanded. They did as she said, and they flew towards the UA. During the flight, Spencer asked the question, Cap, what's going on? We weren't told anything. Just emergency deployment. Why is Inko so angry? Hisashi didn't explain. It's Izuku. He activated his beacon, and you all know what that means. Every F.E.A.R agent has a beacon on their person at all times, so in case of emergency, they could be located and backup would come to the rescue. But this was Izuku, who could handle almost anything, and he was better than any of the F.E.A.R team members, so if he was in trouble, shit was going down. Spencer continued by saying, Remind me never to get married to a soldier. Douglas wondered, why is that? Then Spencer explained, Sorry, but I don't want to fight over who wears the pants in the relationship. No offense, Kat. Hisashi didn't take offense. He loved his wife, even if she was commanding sometimes. Rowdy then put his thoughts. I wouldn't mind having a girl that takes charge. Spencer chuckled. Of course you wouldn't. Such a simp. And the both of them started arguing. This irritated Inko, and she yelled at them. Shut up, all of you, or I'm throwing you out of the helicopter. Everyone immediately shut up because they didn't want to test Inko. Spencer then, last, under his breath, said, God help those poor souls who pissed off Inko. Hisashi and the rest of the male members agreed. Over at a large cabin, Hideki Midoriya, ranked general, retired, quirked dragon's breath. He was tending to his garden and when he got a call. Hideki answered, Hello, Tom. What a pleasant surprise. It's unlike you to call me at this time. What's going on? Tom answered, I wish it was under better circumstances, General, but Izuku activated his beacon. Hisashi and Inko, along with Team Alpha, are on the way to rescue him. Under normal circumstances, this would be enough, but we both know what Izuku is capable of, and if he activated his beacon, it might be too much for them, and I don't have the resources or the authority for a full excursion. Hideki just started laughing. I see. Thank you for informing me. I'll call in some favors and head over. Tom was reassured, but then he realized something. Wait, sir, did you say you were going in there in person? Of course I am. My grandson and the rest of my family are in danger. And then he hung up the phone. Tom can only think to say, God help those poor souls who mess with the dragon of the rising sun. And that's the end of the side chapter. So we're going to continue with story. So after talking with the police, the students went home. Izuku arrived home with his parents, all that were exhausted. Inko kept expecting Izuku, making sure that he was fine. Izuku told his mother he was okay, but she kept insisting. But Izuku just told her that he had something important to tell them. They all sat down on the couch, and Deku explained what F.E.A.R told them, revealing that they were brothers. This came to a surprise to Inko and Sashi that the other child from the armor camp incident was still alive, and it was Izuku's sibling. So they decided they were going to find him for armor camp. Izuku then says the following: "What happens if they find out I'm still alive? Will they come after me?" Inko responded, "If that happens, we will protect you." Hisashi then says, "Your mother's right. We won't let anything happen to you." Izuku hugged his parents, and then the doorbell rang. Hisashi went over to the door with his pistol hidden behind him. He looked to see, and it was Nezu and a skinny-looking blonde man, and he let them in. Nezu then says, "Sorry to intrude after you got back, but this is an important matter. My colleague here needs to speak with Izuku." They all walk into the living room and sit down, and Inko makes tea for everyone. Hisashi: "So, who is this man, and what's so important he needs to speak to Izuku about?" All Might, or Toshi, chimes in. "My name is Toshinori Yagi, but you might know me by my hero name, All Might." Hisashi and Izuku could not believe that this scrawny man was All Might, but Izuku knew the truth that this man was indeed All Might. Izuku just told them he's telling the truth, and then his parents believed him. So, with all that clarified, All Might continued the conversation. All Might explained about his quirk, One for All, the villain All for One, his injury, and how he wanted to pass his quirk on to Izuku. All Might goes on to say, "Young Midoriya, you are the most suited candidate to be my successor. I've seen how countless times you show the heart of a true hero. So will you accept my quirk?" Izuku was thinking about it, not sure what to do. Hisashi then chimed in. "I don't think Izuku should take the quirk." All Might was confused. "But Hisashi, think about all the good he could do." "I'm not denying he could do good with your quirk, but taking it puts a target on his back. And I'm guessing that if All for One finds out that he has a quirk, he won't stop till he kills Izuku. Am I correct?" All Might couldn't deny that possibility. Inko then chimed in. "Izuku has suffered enough with Armacam, and now you want him to fight someone who almost killed you? You know what you're asking us to agree to? You're basically asking us to agree to let our son fight a war on your behalf. A war that's been going on for generations. I can't risk losing my son. I'm sorry, but I don't agree." All Might tried to counter their argument. All I could say was this: "I'm sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Midoriya. You're right. It's selfish of me to ask your son to do this, but I'm running out of time. The world needs a new symbol of peace, and I feel your son is the only one who can do it." All Might then bowed his head, planting his forehead to the ground. Everyone stood quiet. But then Izuku stood up. "I'll take the quirk." His parents looked at him with complete disbelief. Inko started crying. "Izuku, you can't. We don't want to lose you." She begged and pleaded her son not to go through with this. Izuku just grabbed her face and gave her a warm sob. "Mom, remember what you told me. You wanted me to be happy, and you wanted me to save lives rather than taking them. If I don't do this, All for One will hurt people. I know you don't want to see me hurt, but you have to understand. I'm going to be a hero. That means I have to put my life at risk to save people. When I was born, Arcam made me into a weapon. Let me prove I don't have to be one. I know it's selfish of me, but I'm asking you. Please, let me do this." Inko couldn't deny her Zuko's wish. She continued to cry for a few moments, and then till she regained her composure. Then both her parents agreed. Izuku then turned to All Might with a serious look. All Might, I already have blood on my hands. Even knowing that, you still choose me as your successor, knowing full well I might have to kill again. All Might was speechless. He couldn't answer right away. I chose you to be my successor because you have the heart of a true hero. Even if that means you must take a life to save others, I know you will make the right choice. With both agreeing, All Might passes down his quirk to Izuku. A few days later, there was a lot of gossip about the USJ attack. In Class 1A, the students were recalling the events. Some found it exciting, others thought it was a nightmare. But they all agreed they were glad to make it out alive. Aizawa came only with his arm in a cast, thanks to Inko treating his injuries earlier. And Aizawa announcements to the class. Okay, class. Important announcement. In 2 weeks, we'll be having the sports festival. The class grew excited. Everyone in the world knew about the sports festival. It was the biggest event of all time. As you know, how important the festival is. Not only do you get to show off your skills, but it can also give you chances to get scouted by hero agencies. For you freshmen, the main focus is getting an internship. You have the next 2 weeks to do your best to prepare for the festival. Class dismissed. Izuku was talking with Uraraka and asking her if she was still coming over. She said yes, and they both began to leave. As soon as they opened the door, a crowd of students from other classes were standing out there. A short-haired blonde guy stepped out from the crowd, being Monoma. Well, if it isn't the famous Class 1A, I bet you think you're so cool that you fought real villains, but guess what? You're still going to lose at the sports festival. Izuku was not fazed by anything Monoma said. He just kept there with a stoic face, which irritated Monoma. He wanted the reaction from Class 1A. Huh? What's that? I can't hear you. I caught your tongue? Izuku just kept ignoring him. Monoma was getting irritating. He wasn't getting a reaction from Izuku. Then a purple-haired kid comes up. Shinzo. So are all Class 1A students stuck up as you, or are you a special case? Izuku sighed. Keeping silent wasn't going to work. So he just responded. I just don't like people who are rude to me or my friends. The crowd was stunned that they all heard the same voice in their heads. I'll skip to the point. You're here to declare war on us. If we do badly in the sports festival, we might lose our spot in 1A, and one of you can take that spot. Is that everything? Shinzo was caught off guard. He thought, can this guy read minds? Izuku just chimed in. Yes, I can. So if you would all be so kind, we have to prepare for the sports festival. I suggest you all do the same. The crowd parting, letting Izuku and Uraraka leave. When they got out of the gates, a silver Hummer was waiting outside for them. It was Izuku's parents. His dad was driving while his mom was in the passenger seat. The two got in and they drove to the Midoriya residence. Inko asked the question. It's nice to see you again, Uraraka. How was school? It was fine, Mrs. Midoriya. Thank you for inviting me over. It's not a problem, dear. I'm just glad Izuku's making friends with a nice young lady. They had a small conversation until they reached the house. Uraraka was amazed. He'd never seen such a nice home. You live here? She sounded surprised. Izuku nodded. Hisashi chimed in. Yeah, this is home sweet home. We got it as a gift from my father when Inko and I got married. Uraraka was wondering if Izuku's family was secretly rich, but then she thought of it. They're part of the Japanese Special Forces, so they must be paid very well. Now, with that logic, Uraraka feels a little out of place, and what if she embarrasses herself in front of Izuku's family? Izuku felt Uraraka's doubts and placed his hand on her shoulder. Don't worry, everything will be okay. There's no need to be nervous, he reassured her. And that made Uraraka smile. They entered the house. Izuku showed Uraraka around the house. He showed her his room, backyard, pool, gym, shooting range, and the dojo. Uraka was amazed. Wow, this is amazing. I can see why you're so skilled. You have everything you need to train here. That reminds me, how are you going to train for the sports festival? I'm going to do some special training early in the morning, and then in the afternoon, my regular training regimen. If I get a chance, I'll go to F.E.A.R HQ and train with the other soldiers. Uraka couldn't believe how much Izuku trained on a daily basis. Is it possible for you to help me in my training? She asked embarrassingly, pressing her index fingers together. Izuku was okay with it. Sure, if you want, you can meet me at my house in the afternoon and we can train together. Uraka was glad to hear that he was going to help her. Then Inko called them both, saying that dinner was ready. They had a lovely dinner and they enjoyed themselves. Inko asked Isashi and Izuku to clean and put away the dishes. After they left, Inko and Uraka were alone in the dining room. And Inko asked Uraka something. Uraka, there's something important I need to talk to you about. This caused Uraka to get nervous. Inko's tone was very serious. Yes, Mrs. Midoriya? What is it? You saw one of Izuku's visions, right? This made Uraka freeze. She didn't know what to say. She promised Izuku not to tell anyone about this. She didn't know if it was alright to talk about this with his mom. Inko senses Uraka is keeping quiet for a reason, and she reassured her. It's fine to talk to me about it. I already know Izuku told us what happened, which is why I asked Izuku to invite you today. This gave Uraka a sense of relief. If it's fine then yes, I saw one of Izuku's visions. Have you had any other visions or nightmares since then? No, not really. Only that one time. Inko sighed. That's good to hear. Now my last question. Are you planning to tell anyone about this? Uraka didn't hesitate to answer no, that she would keep this a secret. She promised. Inko smiled, happy to hear the answer. Thank you, dear. You have no idea what Izuku's been through. If his secret got out, he won't be able to have a normal life. The government might even take him away. This worries Uraka. Why would the government take Izuku away? Inko realized she said too much. It's fine. Don't worry. When Izuku's ready, he'll tell you. Till then, just be patient. Uraka understood. Izuku would tell her when he was ready. There's no need to pressure Inko. There's no need to pressure him. Inko continued. On the subject of Izuku, how are things between you and him doing? Are you two a couple? Hearing that made Uraka blush. No, it's not like that. We're just good friends. Inko gave her a small smile. I know love when I see it. I can tell you like him. And as his mother, I can tell you for the fact that he likes you as well. When the first day he talked about you, he had a huge smile on his face and a bright look in his eyes. Hearing that from Izuku's mom made Uraka even more flustered as she began imagining being together with Izuku. With the thoughts in her head going out of control, she got so flustered she activated her quirk and started floating in the air. Inko used her telekinesis to pull her down and then proceeded to explain. It's okay if you're not ready to confess right now. But just remember, you might not be the only one who has feelings for him. Uraka took that advice to heart. It was getting late, and Inko asked Uraka if she wanted to stay over. They called her parents and let them know that Uraka was going to sleep in let her parents know. Uraka was sleeping in one of the guest rooms across from Izuku's room. She tried to sleep, but kept thinking about what Inko said. Izuku liked her, and that he had a dark secret he couldn't share with anyone, or he would be taken away. He kept her up all night, thinking about it. Later that night, Uraka was woken by a loud noise. She went to check it out, and the sound coming was from Izuku's room. She opened the door to see Izuku tossing in his sleep, screaming as things in his room began to levitate and move around on their own. She went over and shook him awake. Being woken, Izuku was crying, and then Uraka just hugged him. She didn't hesitate. She just wrapped her arms around him. Izuku, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. I'm sorry you had to see me like that. I bet you're afraid of me. No, I don't think that. I know there are things you haven't told me, but I want you to know. I'm here for you. Can you stay with me till I fall asleep? Sure, I'll stay. Raka lay down next to Izuku. She held him tight as she wrapped her hands around his head and hugged him close as he put his hands around her waist. Raka was getting flustered. Her heart was racing and she couldn't calm herself down. She wasn't sleeping right next to Izuku, holding themselves tight to each other. It was nice, but the same thing, this is the thing only couples do. Her thoughts began racing as she remembered what Inko told her. She just decided she should tell Izuku her feelings. Izuku, I'm in love with you. Izuku was surprised to hear that, but he also had feelings for Araka. I love you too, Araka. They held each other tightly, and then they fell asleep. Outside the door, though, Inko heard everything, but decided not to bother them and went back to her home. The next day, Izuku and Araka woke up. Uraka stirred up first. Good morning, Izuku. Did you sleep well? Mm. Yeah, thank you for staying. Uraka played with Izuku's hair, gently running her fingers through it. Then there was a knock at the door. Izuku, Uraka, come downstairs. Breakfast is ready. That got their attention, but it was strange. But the strange thing was the fact that Inko knew that they were both in the same room. They got ready and headed downstairs. They ate breakfast, but were slightly embarrassed and couldn't look Inko in the eye. Inko was just calm. They expected her to be angry or upset with them. They slept in the same room last night. Any mom would have gone ballistic. Inko then broke the silence. Okay, you two. I know you both slept in the same room last night, and I know you didn't do anything inappropriate, so you can relax. Uraka responded. Are you really fine with us sleeping in the same room? Inko just smiled. I'm fine with it. What you two do in your private time is your business. Just be safe. I want grandchildren, but I don't want you to have to quit school because of it. This made both of them blush. Izuku responded, Mom, please stop it. Inko gave a chuckle. Izuku, we raised you to be a responsible young man. I know you will always do the right thing, so I know I don't have to worry about anything like that happening anytime soon. Izuku and Raka were too embarrassed to respond, and the conversation ended there. Inko drove Uraraka to her home to ask her parents' permission to train in the Midoriya house for the next 2 weeks. Izuku went to Dagobah Beach to meet up with All Might. When he arrived, Izuku spotted All Might in his small form and walked up to them. Hello, young Midoriya. Are you ready to begin your training? Izuku simply nodded, and they began the training. Izuku was first tasked with cleaning the beach, which was not that hard for him because of his abilities. Then All Might asked for him to show us his abilities, so he used his slow-mo, but something strange happened. His body was surrounded by red and black lightning, or full cowling as it's called. He didn't know what it was, but All Might seemed to know. Young Midoriya, it seems you activated One for All without realizing it. Truly remarkable. Can you try to see if you can perform a smash? As hard as you can, at the ocean. Izuku did as All Might asked, powering up to 100% and throwing a punch at the ocean, which split it, causing a giant tidal wave. Izuku felt the effects of using too much power. His arm was broken, many of his muscles were ripped, tendons were broken, not to mention his bones. Izuku rested for half an hour as his body was slowly healing. All Might explained to Izuku that he should refrain from using higher percentages until his body was truly ready, since 100% would cause this much amount of damage. Izuku looked at All Might with an irritated look. That was info I should have received at the beginning, instead of later. if it was any normal person, they would have been seriously injured, or worse, dead. All Might, what you did right now is equivalent to giving a child a loaded gun. With that remark, All Might became depressed, being scolded by his successor. With that out of the way, the training continued. Izuku sparred with All Might for the next couple of days, getting used to lower levels of One For All. But Izuku was already strong enough to handle 25% of One For All, but could be pushed to 30% if needed. Later in the afternoon, Izuku got home and was greeted by Uraraka and Iko in the living room, looking at a photo album. They're looking at photos of Izuku, his first birthday, his first time at the beach, first time in an amusement park, pictures of him doing sniper training, one of him going hunting with Hisashi and Hideki. The last one was a group photo with him and his family. Hisashi, Inko, Hideki, along with the F.E.A.R team, Spencer, Tom, Douglas, and Rowdy. Uraraka noticed something strange about the photos and asked, "Why aren't there any baby pictures of Izuku, or when he was younger?" Inko got a little sad. "That's because we adopted Izuku when he was 10 years old." That was a huge revelation for Uraraka. Izuku was adopted, and this made her want to ask more questions. "So does Izuku know about his birth parents?" This caused Inko to tear up a little, and Uraraka noticed that. No, he doesn't, and he tries not to remember the first 10 years of his life. It's the reason he doesn't speak, but I shouldn't say too much. He'll tell you when he's ready. Uraraka's heart was aching, wondering what happened to Izuku before he was adopted. By the way that Inko was acting, it wasn't good. Inko wiped away her tears, but then said the following. "But there's some good news. We recently found out Izuku's brother is still alive, and we're trying to find him." Uraraka was surprised that Izuku had a sibling. "Really? What's his name? Is he older or younger than Izuku?" Inko explained. "His name's F.E.A.R. He's a year younger than Izuku." Uraraka was glad to hear that Izuku wasn't alone. He had a younger brother and he was out looking for him. Hopefully they'll find him soon. Izuku later came down and asked Uraraka if she wanted to train. She said yes, and they went to the dojo. For the next 2 weeks, Izuku trained Uraraka in hand-to-hand combat, making her a decent fighter, and with Izuku as a sparring partner, she increased her stamina and reaction time. She also worked on her quirk, so she was less nauseous when using it. Izuku noticed changes in his abilities since interrogating One For All. He was able to use telekinesis, discovered that when activating full cowling, his other abilities boost dramatically. He was able to use his slow-mo ability plus full cowling, and time would freeze completely for a few seconds. His healing factor was faster. Full cowling plus his telekinesis, he could pick up multiple cars, unlike F.E.A.R, who could pick up tanks with ease. His telepathy was also able to reach a larger radius when activated with full cowling, so he tried to see if he could contact F.E.A.R. Izuku focused his mind and sent out a message. "F.E.A.R, are you there?" He heard no response, but saw visions of a girl screaming as her child was taken away from her. Then he heard the words, Izuku tried to reach the person who was sending him the vision, but something was blocking him. He told his parents about his latest discovery and wondered if the girl Izuku saw was actually his mother. Okay, guys, this is the end of part 6, I think. Like, comment, subscribe, and hopefully we'll be getting stuff done sooner. I was at Anime Expo trying to relax, but work and other stuff got in the way, and, recording these videos are hard as it is. So, see you all next time. Bye.